and welcome to Sarah's Stampery. Today we're going to be creating some cards using Vellum, and it's going to be a Christmas in July video featuring some of the July clubs from Spellbinders. So I'll show you those as we go through. So the first one we're going to use is this gorgeous Day of the Month, which is the cute skates with the kind of Christmassy florals. So for this one, we're going to keep it simple and use the vellum as the card base. I think it gives a really nice effect as a card base. And I've cut out all our pieces and I'll show you how to layer them up. So we're going to make another skate like this. So I've cut the back piece in grey and the front piece in white. And it just layers on over that heel. And then I'm going to add on the black piece for the sole. And then I cut the skating piece in silver. So then we've got these laces. And they start at the bottom and go right up the front. And then we've got the top of the laces with the little bow. So then I've got poinsettia, which I'm going to just layer up. I'm just curving up the petals a little bit just to give a bit of dimension. And then I'm just going to add one of these, which is one of the berries in gold. I'm going to add that to the centre. So I think that really this piece is supposed to go in the centre. It's like 3 berries that you can kind of layer up, but I decided to go for the small, just 1 berry. So then I've used this Nested Scalloped Frames die set from Syberia design, and I'm going to use some of these sticky specks to add them to my cardstock. Now I like the sticky specks because they grab immediately, but also you'll notice they don't show through very much to the back of the card. So I've covered the back of that with adhesive and I pop it onto here. Now I can stick that down, and look, you can't see that adhesive through. So it's a really nice way of adding that on to vellum without being able to see through. So then I've cut another 2 of these, and the reason for that is that if I just add this inside for my note, then I won't be able to make sure that it's lined up exactly, whereas if I add this to the back, I can make sure that it's lined up exactly with the one that's on the front. And then what I can do is flip this, and then I can put it over the green one, and then when I close this, you can't see that piece through. It means that you can write your message inside without worrying that it's going to show through to the front of your card. So that's a really nice way of doing that with both vellum and acetate cards. So then I'm also just going to glue some of these kind of gold like berries onto here. So I was thinking of using one of these bigger sentiments from the Stamp of the Month Club, but I've actually decided to use this Making Spirits Bright, and I've decided that I actually want it at the bottom of here. So what we're going to do, because obviously I prefer not to heat emboss onto here, really I would do that before I've glued this on, but since I've changed my mind afterwards, I'm going to give it a go, and then if it doesn't work, then we can just cover it up with something else. So I'm going to heat emboss that down here, and I'm going to use gold embossing powder for that. So that actually turned out really nicely, so I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to glue the boots together because I want to kind of arrange them, but I don't want to stick them down yet because I want some of the foliage to go behind them. So that way I can kind of glue these pieces behind them before I stick them down. So then I'm going to start gluing those pieces down. So then I'm going to add some fine pads to the back of my skates. And I'm going to add those on. And then I can add a fine pad to the back of my poinsettia. I'm going to add that on too. And then I'm just actually going to add on 3 of these berries to one of these pieces. And then I'm going to add that on just up here as well. And so there's that card finished. You can see that even with all that weight on the front, it still stands up really nicely. And that's partly because of having reinforced it with these cardstock panels. So then for my next card, we're going to use this Glimmer of the Month Club. And so we've got this Holly with the coordinating die, Joy with the coordinating die, and Wishing You with the coordinating die. So we're going to hot foil our sentiment directly onto our vellum. So for this one, I've got a slightly lighter weight vellum, less than I would usually use for a card front, but it does still stand up because this is a heat resistant vellum, and it's really important to use heat resistant vellum for this. So I should say that when you get the Glimmer of the Month Club, you get a different colour foil each month as well. And so this month's Glimmer of the Month foil is this Aura, which is beautiful gold that when you kind of tip it into the light, you see all the rainbow colours. I'm just going to use a flat gold for this card though. So I'm cutting it just the right size for my sentiment so that I don't get over foiling. So then I'm going to bring this in, which I've already heated up, and I'm going to pop this plate side down, and then I'm going to press timer, and then I'm going to pop that through my die cutting machine. And we've got that Wishing You Joy on there. So then I've hot foiled some of these holly leaves onto here with a Glimmer hot foil plate. And if you buy the deluxe caboodle this month, which is when you buy all 10 of this month's club kits together in the deluxe caboodle, and then you get a really big discount, so it's either £120 or $120 depending on whether you get it from the US or the UK store, but that is less than the 5 most expensive of the 10 clubs cost, and you get all 10 clubs and a free gift. So this is the free gift for this month, this stencil that you can use to colour these, and that's a really nice way of doing some quick colouring. But I'm just going to use my alcohol markers to colour them. So I've just got the Sunshine Valley Garden and the Island Garden markers, and I'm going to use the greens from the Sunshine Valley Garden and the reds from the Island Garden. Die cut those with the coordinating die, and I think those look really beautiful now. So then I'm going to use my sticky dots again, and I'm going to add this on. And because I'm not adding a piece on the front this time, then I don't need to add one on the back either. I can just put this where I need it inside. So then I'm going to grab my piece of holly, and I'm going to add sticky dots to the back of them, and then I'm going to add them onto here, and then I'm going to cut off the excess, and I'll add that bit down there, and then I'm going to add the other one on at the bottom, and then I'm going to use some of these Fashion Gold gems, so I'm just going to sprinkle some of these around the card. So then there's that card done, and with those additional bits on it, it stands up just fine as well. So then for my final card for today, I'm going to use this lovely snowflake wax seal, and that's the wax seal club of the month for this month. So then I'm going to add some of these wax beads, and those are these pearl white wax beads that come with this month. So you get the wax seal and you get the beads in the club. And so I'm going to use this stamp set of the month to just heat emboss this Sending Snowflake Kisses just while that melts. And there are dies that cut out all these sentiments as well. So there are dies for all of these if you get the Stamp and Die of the month. And then there's one die big enough to cut these out that you can use for all your sentiments. I'm not going to use those today. And this has just finished melting, so I'm going to pour this out. And then I'm going to add on my stamp. So let's go back to heat embossing. So I'm going to stamp this Sending Snowflake Kisses. And I'm going to just heat emboss that in my Wow Polished Silver Superfine embossing powder. So then I've got my sentiment, and then this is now set, and I'm going to go over the snowflake bit with this silver pen. This is the Deco Colour silver pen, and because it's raised it's really easy to just catch that top bit. So I was going to leave this as one piece, but I think that actually I'm going to cut it apart. So I've got my Sending die and my Snowflake Kisses die. So then I'm going to make up my cards. So I've got a card blank made of this sage green cardstock. Then this is a piece of vellum that I've embossed using this embossing folder of the month. And you can see that this snowflake ties in really nicely with wax seals. So I made 6 of these wax seals. So then I'm going to use some of these sticky specks to add this on. And I love that you can't even tell that that has adhesive on the back. So I'm going to add that to my card. And then I've got this green piece that I cut with those same dies I used earlier, the nested scalloped ones. I've got all of my wax seals. Obviously some of them have got slight imperfections and things like that, so I'm going to put them so that the ones with the most imperfections are in the middle, because that's where my sentiment's going to go, and it will cover a lot of the bits that don't look quite so good. And then I've got some of these wax seal stamp adhesive circles, so I'm going to add them to the back of my wax seals, and I'm going to adhere them with those. And these are really nice for when you make wax seals and you don't want to use them straight away as well, because you can just put one of these on the back and then it's ready to use when you're ready. So like I say, these two in the middle are the ones that are the least perfect. So then that can get glued onto my card. And you can see that even though I've got adhesive behind that whole panel, you can't see any of it through. So that's really nice. And then I'm going to add some foam strips behind my sentiment. Then that is that final card finished. So then there are all 3 of today's vellum cards. I really hope that you've enjoyed creating them with me. Please do let me know in the comments which is your favourite. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.